Hello, in this video we will discuss about the fatty liver due to insulin resistance. So it is also known as the type 2 diabetes mellitus. So we will discuss about the fatty liver. It is non-alcoholic fatty liver. So basically the environmental factors like a high fat protein, high fat diet as well as sugar, which that will stimulate the insulin resistance lead to fatty liver. So also the internal factor is the genetic factors, which that is involve the DNA. The genetic factors also involve for the DNA. On the other hand, this is the DNA. The genetic factor is can be a family history, DNA damage, epigenetic mutation, and oncogenesis. So anyhow, let's begin to understand from the releasing of the insulin from the pancreas, because it is normally released because the pancreas is healthy and the beta cell will produce insulin. This is the gallbladder produce the bile pigment, bile salt as a waste from the liver, and here is the bile duct, and this is the pancreas which containing a exocrine gland produce amylase as well as the lipase. So this is a dysbiosis ethanol production from the bacteria through microbiome. This is the duodenum, and this is the excretion called a cholesterol, lipid, bile acid, which that is also the part of breakdown of the RBC will lead to bilirubin excretion also. And this is the islet of Langerhans contain a beta, alpha, and delta cells. Beta cell important for production of insulin. So this is the pancreas whole. So let's begin to understand the releasing of insulin by the response of sugar intake. So when hyperglycemia will occur, so the insulin will produce by this response. So in this way, this is the portal vein which that is go into the liver first. This is the liver. So remember, when insulin will increase due to the hyperglycemia, will target to the cell. Normally here is the cell contain insulin receptor. When bind will lead to GLUT4 channel will open, will lead to influx of the glucose, will lead to isoglycemic effect in the blood circulatory system. So there is a muscle or liver cell. But remember that things insulin resistance mean the insulin receptor will not work correctly. Like this is the adipose tissue, so the lipolysis will decrease when the insulin receptor will work correctly, but the lipogenesis will increase. But in this case, the pre-diabetic person like this will lead to obesity. While this is the insulin resistance mean the insulin will not bind with the insulin receptor in the adipose tissue, lead to insulin resistance, will hyperglycemia, and glucose will not use, while the lipolysis will increase to produce triacylglycerol and triglycerides as well as free fatty acid, lead to hyperlipidemia. And this lead to hyperlipidemia will lead to very low density lipoprotein increase in the blood. In this way, the free fatty acid will go through a portal vein into the liver. So let's begin to understand the all function and all the physiological aspect. The pathophysiology lead to cause the fatty liver and the cancer causing cell in the liver, hepatocyte. So suppose this is a free fatty acid will enter into the liver. Also the diacylglycerol, monoacylglycerol, and triacylglycerol and free fatty acid. In this way, increase the fatty liver risk due to this increase of the fat, because the excessive amount of fat will enter into the liver will lead to damage and deposition of the fat into the adipocyte rather than the normally. So after this, the triacylglycerol will enter into the liver, for example, this is, and will enter into the hepatocyte as a free fatty acid, while the free fatty acid is lead to de novo lipogenesis will occur in the in the liver will lead to fatty acid, fatty liver causing. On the other hand, the very low density lipoprotein will again enter and circulate, containing free fatty acid also, and it is used for the beta oxidation as well as other processes. So the beta oxidation and ketogenesis will occur because the glucose is no longer important for our body. So the beta oxidation and the ketones is used as energy, while the hyperglycemia will lead to glycosuria and polyuria and polydipsia and polyphagia. So this is the insulin. This insulin is basically lead to when bound, for example, normally through a gluconeogenesis will occur, and in this way the free fatty acid will be produced more because the glucose will not use no more. So de novo lipogenesis will occur to produce again triacylglycerol from the free fatty acid, and this triacylglycerol and free fatty acid as well as cholesterol will excrete. Excretion due to the cholesterol and lipids increase in our body. So the excessive cholesterol will be excreted. While in this case here is the free fatty acid which that will lead to lipotoxicity in the adipocyte, hepatocyte. So lipotoxicity will trigger to produce the reactive oxygen species, tumor necrotic factor alpha, to transforming growth factor beta, interleukin 6, CCL2 and CCL5. These both factors and reactive oxygen species will lead to inflammation and necroptosis. Necroptosis will lead to trigger the activation of stellate cell. The stellate cell activation will lead to damage, basically activation of immune response through a activation of stellate cell as a macrophage-like structure, which that is basically is used to increase the fibrosis. Fibrosis after the fatty liver, the activation of stellate cells, which that will lead to fibrosis and cirrhosis. This is the irreversible liver damage. In this, the fatty liver again reverse will impossible due to the fibrosis and cirrhosis. And this occur due to the activation of stellate cell by inflammation and necroptosis of the hepatocyte, as well as the lipotoxicity will produce the tumor necrotic factor alpha and transforming growth factor beta and interleukin 6, CCL2, CCL5. So in this way, here is the hepatocellular carcinoma will occur. In this way, the cancerous cell, the hepatocyte will lead to cancer, or the autophagy will occur. In this way, the lipid-laden hepatocyte will be apoptosed, the necrosis. So the autophagy will be occur, and in this way, the autophagy will lead to beta oxidation. Autophagy mean the cell itself will be die, and in this way, the here you can see the lipid containing a cell. This is the hepatocytes. Autophagy will lead to beta oxidation also occur, and in this way this genus kinase and ASK1 and necrotic factor kappa B, which that will cascade of phosphorylation will lead to inflammation and necroptosis will occur by this mechanism. So this is the necroptosis will occur. So anyhow, this is a fatty liver progression as the pathophysiology. So the insulin resistance is the major cause of fatty liver because glucose not used up. So the lipolysis of the beta oxidation lead to hyperlipidemia in liver. Fat accumulate will lead to cause the fibrosis and cirrhosis, will lead to cancerous cell of the hepatocyte, lead to cause cancer in the liver. The cirrhosis is the irreversible, while the inflammation due to the autophagy and beta oxidation will lead to inflammation, and necrotosis will activate the stellate cell, and activate the stellate cell will lead to fibrosis and cirrhosis. So anyhow, I hope you make sense about this fatty liver due to insulin resistance. We have discussed about the pathophysiological aspect with shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye.